for the time that we have together. Fill our hearts with compassion and courage and love. Amen. There is a lot happening today. And it is Social Justice Sunday this morning. So my challenge today is to link a radio show, social justice and pretzels all during this talk. Does anyone here listen to As It Happens on CBC? Yes! Okay, great. So for those of you who do not listen to CBC, As It Happens is a radio show that happens at 6:30, Monday through Fridays. And it's 90 minutes of stories. That's all it is, 90 minutes of stories every Monday through Friday. And some stories have made national and international headlines. And some stories have maybe got a paragraph on the back of the local newspaper, maybe. But each story that the interviewers give, each interviewee gets pretty much, they all get equal respect, and they have time to tell their story in this 90-minute segment that they have. And this show this week, it was celebrating 50 years of being on air. That's a long time. 90 minutes, 5 times a week, for 50 years. That is a lot of stories over the past while. And so I was listening to the celebrations of the week, and they were talking about why it has been so successful. And the main reason is that people love to hear stories. They love to hear them, they love to be part of them, they love telling them. We love stories. And we see that from an early age, right? Like children love to hear stories about the family, they love to hear about when they were born, they love to hear stories about holidays, things that people have done together, stories of misadventure, and stories of great success. We love stories about our lives, and our stories help define who we are. So knowing our history and knowing our story helps define who we are as individuals, who we are as a group, whether the group be our family, our culture, or our religion as well. And Christianity has a lot of stories. And the top hits are in the Bible. Those are the ones that most of us know. We share them often on Sundays, sometimes during the week if we happen to talk about our religion, Monday through Saturday. And whoever the main character is, Abraham, Jacob, Deborah, Mary, Jesus, they give us a sense of who we are, and they tell us who God is and what He's done in the past. So I'm going to quickly turn the focus on you. Not only just for a moment, and we're going to play 20 questions. Do you know 20 questions? Yes? Maybe? No, 20 questions, okay. So 20 questions is, so I have 2 readers in the crowd. So Mary is one character from the Bible. And so we can ask Mary yes, no questions, right? And we have to try and figure out, Mary, who you are in the Bible. Okay.
Wait, Mary's her name, so we're not talking about Mary.
So we're not, right. So Mary is a character from the Bible. Can we figure out, so being detectives, but just using yes, no questions, by asking this Mary questions, can you figure out who she is?
So for example, are you a man?
There you go, so that's narrowed it down.
One down. Are you
One down, and it is like on the top 20. You would definitely know this person.
Are you New Testament?
No.
Old Testament?
Old Testament. Yeah.
That narrows it right down.
It narrows it down. Keep going.
That's down to a couple of million.
Are you a prophet?
No.
Are you a king?
No.
Abraham.
Are you in Genesis? No.
Not in Genesis.
Not a prophet, not in Genesis. Are you big?
Like in size? Tall? Oh, okay, all right.
You don't know, the answer would be yes if you were polite, so yes, it's not
exactly.
You sit there.
Not worth mentioning. Not worth mentioning.
Okay.
Are you one of the warrior characters?
Were you an advisor to a king? Are you Daniel?
Oh, yes. The kids last week said, did you have pets? That was how they read the lions. Yeah, so
it's just because, like, I have Daniel.
you have a Daniel. Yes, so you know the story, right? So Daniel was an advisor to the king after having been captured in slavery. Right, okay, so Kathy, you are a character in the Bible.
Yeah, that week.
Definitely a character.
Right, so...
This from the oldest dog?
All right, so Kathy, who are you? Don't tell us.
No,
We're
no,
gonna find out. We're gonna find out. So,
Okay, New Testament?
yes.
Great.
There's
Couple
still a
hundred
lot of
thousand.
people in the New Testament.
Are you a girl?
That's not a yes no question.
Are you a girl?
Is yes, no
Oh, I
question.
thought you said are you boy or girl?
No, are you a girl?
Yes.
I know the answer. I cannot participate in this.
Can you give us
Just make this?
Ask
No, this is definitely like, you definitely know this character. For sure, for sure.
Yes.
You are?
I didn't hear that.
What was the question? What was the question?
Are you the mother of Jesus?
Oh, well.
So much less.
You were easy on us, easy on us.
Okay, so if you have been able, like we've been able to play this game, right? Because we have been in storytelling situations before. We've been able to play because we know the stories. We know those Bible stories. And we've either because we've been at church in some point, or just because they're part of our culture and somebody's read a book to us. And so the Bible itself is like a selective cross-section of humanity. So it takes, it doesn't include every single person in history. It takes certain people, and it starts at a certain point in time and a certain place. So it starts at the beginning, and goes through Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and then we continue through Abraham and Isaac, Jacob and Esau, then we go through all the Old, I'm doing it right, through Old Testament, and then we meet Jesus in the New Testament, then we get all the disciples, and then we continue right through to the book of Revelations, and that stops. And the book of Revelations was, according to my best internet research, was written in about 95 AD. I'm hoping that was correct. And there have been no official addendums to the Bible since then. But that does not mean that God finished his work in 95 AD and was like, okay, thank you very much, all stories done, and walked away. Not at all, because all people who have come after 95 AD are a continuation of God's work in this world. All people after that time still have God stories and faith stories to tell. It's just that they're not in the Bible. We are still living in God's world with God and seeing his power in this world. We are writing our own faith stories, and we are still part of God's timeline of stories. And Jesus made a promise to us that he would be with us forever. And God did not stop working at all. And God is very present in the world today, because this is his world, and he is interacting with us all the time if we let him. The Bible also tells us, I said that the Bible tells us what he wanted in the past, and that he interacted with people in the past, but the Bible also tells us what he wants for us in the future, and what he wants for our future faith stories. And he gives us a purpose for life, and a reason to get up in the morning. He's said that he loves us so much, and he has things for us to do. The great commandments that he gave us They require action. They are not passive commandments. And this is something that is needed by people. This need for direction and an answer to, so why should I get up in the morning? And we see it at work. I work at a mental health clinic, and the people who often have some of the most severe symptoms, who stay sick for the longest, and who have the hardest time refinding their sense of purpose in the world, are often the ones who do not have a spiritual sense of who they are and what their role in the world is. People also have a tendency to become ill if they do not have a community. So those commandments are really, really fabulous for humans who need to have community, because we come to worship God in community, and who need to have a purpose in life, because we are asked to love others as we love ourselves. This idea of history and having an idea of our own history is, I went to see the Dead Sea Scrolls exhibit a few years ago when it was in Montreal. And I will be perfectly honest that when I first walked in through the doors, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. A few pieces of parchment. Not a big deal. But the exhibit itself is not actually just, the pieces of parchment. It's actually a whole bunch of artifacts from that era, and not just like artifacts that are holy artifacts, but just regular run-of-the-mill daily pieces of like houseware stuff that people would have used in the time that Jesus was around as well. And as I was walking through the exhibit, there was one item that really caught my eye, and it was an oil lamp that was it was dated to when Jesus was alive. And it really struck me because I remembered all the stories and all the parables that Jesus told that included oil lamps. And they're all in the Bible, right? Like, they're all there. If you've been to Sunday school or if you've heard them here on Sundays, that's something that was used a lot. And it just really struck me that this is actually, even the artifact is not part of my history, but it's part of my religious history, and it makes up part of who I am. That this actually, this is part of my religious culture. And it struck me that actually that's really important. And while we're told as Christians not to store up treasures on earth, but to have them in heaven, very important, but that idea of having a sense of religious history, it gives an identity as well. Knowing stories is really important. And I did leave that the Dead Sea Scrolls were really cool, actually. They were very impressive. But I did leave with much more of a greater sense of understanding of my own religious identity because of what I had seen, the things that were around me. And the readings from today also give us hope that our lives today are important in that kind of trajectory that continue from the Bible. And that we must write our faith stories. And it's not over just because the Bible isn't being written. It doesn't mean that our faith stories are not important. So the reading from Mark is when Jesus talks about Herod's temple. And the temple at the time hadn't even been finished yet. It was still in construction. But everyone knew it was going to be the most glorious and fantastic of temples ever built. And Jesus was saying one day this temple is coming down. It's going to fall. And there are going to be all sorts of horrible things that happen in the future. But he was saying that as Christians, you need to be patient and you need to persevere with your faith, because regardless of what happens in the world, God's kingdom is going to come. So Jesus was saying that you have to keep your faith and stick with your faith, and there are things that are going to happen to you, but you need to keep writing those faith stories and stick with it, because God's kingdom is coming and His Spirit is going to be with you. So we are on a journey with God, moving through this world until that day occurs. So as we live, we still need to come together to worship and to tell our stories. And this is where that reading from Hebrews is very clear in its encouragement that people seek people and worship together. Because it's very difficult to have an active faith on our own. What? Because even in 1st century AD, Christians knew that it was really easy to lose focus if you did not worship with other people. Yes, individual prayer is super important, but it is insufficient. We need to be in a group. Not just for the people who kind of lead, but it is to encourage everybody together. It is Social Justice Sunday this month, so the phrase that really stuck out to me while I was reading this was, "Let us as well stir up one another's minds to energetic effort in love and good works." I don't know that sentence, isn't it great? So I'll read it one more time. "Let us as well stir up one another's minds to energetic effort in love and good works." And it just really struck me because it's so not about reluctantly doing things or saying like, I have been guilty of doing, oh, could you find someone else, please? Is there anyone else who could do it? Is there no one else who has a better skill set? Maybe you could think of, no, this is all about saying, oh, I'd love to. Oh, that'd be great. What an opportunity. So this is definitely an encouragement to really participate in this world. So I would like to tell you this Social Justice Sunday about Amelia. So Amelia is our foster child. And Amelia, we have, I wanted to say inherited Amelia, but that's not quite right. Some of you may remember Joan Armand. Joan was a parishioner here a long time ago now, and she was a parishioner with her husband, and she has now passed away. But while they were here, Joan played in Bridge Club here, and the Bridge Club decided that just playing bridge was not enough. They wanted to make a difference in the world too. They were having fun and they wanted to share that joy with other people. They decided to foster a child. As the Bridge Club kind of like got a little bit smaller, they realized they couldn't continue doing that. And so Joan asked Lorne if would the youth group be willing to take it on. That was about the time that I joined the youth group. And Lorne very eagerly said, yes, absolutely, the youth group will take it on. So the youth group then took on the foster child, and since then has been raising the money to pay for the foster child every year. And thank you very much to everyone who has bought chocolate, paid for soup lunches, had their car washed, bought pretzels, like hopefully you will do today, bought bread. I'm trying to remember what, been to music funds. I'm trying to remember what else we've done to raise money for our foster. Whatever we've done for the foster children, thank you very much. Amelia now is new as of the past few months to us, because they keep growing older and they keep graduating through the program. So, but this story is how one person who was here came together to worship in this church and saw how a group of people could make a difference in a life, and then it has continued. And I would also like to point out that all the people who have participated in that have learned to develop compassion for other people. Because as the youth in the program and the children in the program participate, they develop community with each other as they're doing the fundraising. They're also developing compassion because they learn about what it is to not have the amount of stuff that they have. They really learn a lot about the world. So thank you for supporting that. This story of St. Mary's supporting a foster child is not going to go in the Bible, right? But it is a faith story, and it is a story that is evidence about why it's important to come together. And there are many other stories in this church. This church alone that stem from a group of people worshiping together and then choosing to make a positive difference in the world. So we can think about Kiva, College of Care, supporting St. Michael's Mission. We have the Beehive outside, we support the West Island Women's Shelter. There's Marland Mission, there was another big one that I was forgetting, but I thought about it this morning. We had the chicken, yes. We had the Pashiri in Senegal, yes, and there's some suitcases for Africa we supported as well, that's quite a list.
You forgot the most important one.
Operation, thank you, Operation Christmas Child, there you go, see.
We can't keep track, there's too many.
Okay, there you go, so you see, so there are many stories. So these are some of our faith stories, right, as a church, and we all individually have faith stories as well. And it's really important that we keep those faith stories, that we tell them, because it encourages ourselves individually, it encourages us a church as well, and it tells other people as well what is possible. It makes a difference in the world outside as well. There are many stories in the world. They are told in radio shows, they are told in homes, in churches, and in coffee shops. God wants us to have strong faith stories ourselves that include coming together to worship Him, to encourage each other, and then going out in the world to share His love enthusiastically and energetically in action.